So thanks for joining everyone. So we're going to be talking about setting up good professional emails today. We're going to talk about how you can set up a good password for that, making sure you have a nice, strong password, which is going to be very important. Because I know oftentimes if we have really easy passwords to for someone to guess, or even for a computer to guess, your account is that much more likely to get compromised and taken over. And so we want to make sure we have nice, really secure passwords. And then we'll talk about how to log in, log off of your email. We'll talk about when you need to log in and log out of your email. And we'll talk about when you can save your password to log into your email and when you should not. And so we'll talk about all those things today. Just so you know, the month of March, we are going to be primarily focusing on various aspects of email. So for this week, we're talking mostly about getting your email set up, choosing a professional username, getting a good password. Next week, you guys will have the pleasure of being trained by my wife. She is going to be training you guys starting next Tuesday, so Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, and she's going to be teaching on email etiquette. So she's going to be teaching on when do you reply, how do you reply, the structure of your email, if you're writing a professional email, and she's also going to talk about how to reply all, right? So sometimes you get an email that went to 20 people. If you reply all, your email replying will go to all 20 of those people versus a regular reply, which you might just respond to the person who sent you the email. And so she's going to discuss that, and she's going to talk about forwarding emails also. Sometimes you get an email and you want to share it with someone else, you can forward that email. So that's what is on the queue for next week. The following week, we'll talk about handling attachments. So if you get an attachment in an email, what do you do with that? When you download it, where did it go? We'll talk about managing your inbox so you don't have 1,000 emails in your inbox that you haven't read. We'll talk about how to manage that, and then we'll wrap up the month of March, taking an assessment on email to test your knowledge on what you've learned in the month of March. And my goal for everyone here is that you stick with us throughout the entire curriculum. We'll go into Microsoft Word and Excel in the coming months, and you guys are going to learn a ton, but we're starting with the basics to make sure everyone has a good foundation so that as we get into the more advanced things, you have a really solid foundation. And so, with that, we'll go ahead and start for today's lesson. So, again, first of all, we're going to talk about setting up a email username. So, when you, first of all, everyone here uses email, I'm sure, but what do you use normal mail for? You use normal mail to send information, a letter, for instance, from you to another person. And when you're sending that letter, let's say to another person, is it very important that you have the right address? It is, right? If you send someone a letter and you do not put their address correctly, exactly the way it should be, they may not get your letter, correct? Let's say they live in an apartment at 123 Main Street, apartment 7. If you just send it to 123 Main Street, they may or may not get that letter because the address wasn't fully there. And so it's important. Same thing with email. It's very, very important that we have emails correct when we email someone because emails are exact. You have to send it to the exact username at Gmail or wherever the recipient is. You have to be exact with that because if you're off by a letter or off by a number, they're not going to receive it. And so let's talk about creating a username. And so when you make let me just pull up a notepad here really quick. I want to share something with you guys. So, okay, so let me share my screen. So when you are making an email address, right? So let's say my name is Eric Jenkins, right? So you got Eric dot Jenkins. Let's say I did 23 at gmail.com. So this is what a normal email is going to look like, right? Very simple, nothing fancy. But I want to just point out there's three parts to an email. So the first part right here that I'm highlighting, the Eric.Jenkins23, that is the username. Okay, so that is the username. That'll always be unique based on where you're getting it. So, for instance, if you are setting up a Gmail account, so this is the domain. So the first part is the username. The second part is you're always going to have an at sign. On your keyboard, you would get an at sign through Shift 2. Hold down Shift and press 2 to get that at sign. And then lastly, the domain, gmail.com, right? So that's who's hosting and providing the email. So again, username, at sign, and then the domain. And so if you go to Gmail and you go to get a new email address, you have to have a unique username. So if this has already been used, if someone already has eric.jenkins23, you cannot get eric.jenkins23. You can get eric.jenkins22, eric.jenkins24, but at that domain, you cannot have the same username as someone else. So if you go to sign up for this, it will say, oh, I'm sorry, Eric Jenkins23 is no longer available. Someone else has gotten that. And then it'll normally give you some suggestions of other email addresses that you can sign up a username, and it'll be unique to you. Okay. So I just want to point that out that there's three parts of every email address. Now, if this was Yahoo, and so Eric Jenkins23 at Gmail is used up, that doesn't mean you can't get Eric Jenkins23 at Yahoo because that's a different domain, right? So just wanted to share that. And so, yeah, when you have an email address, it's obviously the way to send letters and information, notes that you may be taking. It's just the way to send and receive information instead of having to use a regular mailbox, right? Today, we are going to talk about presenting a professional email address and a username that you would potentially use if you're out there getting a new job. I know a lot of you are coming to these classes because you want to up your education, which I commend you for taking the time to do to be here. I know many of you worked today or you working tonight, so I just really commend you guys on taking the time to invest in yourself. And part of investing in yourself and potentially moving into a new industry and getting a better job is you need to have a professional email address on your resume. So what does a professional email address contain? It's going to just be obviously, it can be at Gmail, which is completely fine. But a professional username should have a couple things. It should have your name or the name of your business. Okay. So your name or the name of a business. So I'm just going to type it here. So a professional email should have a username that is professional. Mm-hmm. So username should have your name or the name of your business. So if your business is called bakingcookies.com, it'd be okay to have a Gmail account that's bakingcookies@gmail.com. That's completely fine to do that. So that's the first thing. You don't want to use the name of kids or others in your family. People could then think it's your name, right? So let's say you have a sibling or you have a child and their name is Mark. You don't want to say, Mark Jenkins at gmail.com. They're going to think your name is Mark. So it's important to only use your name. And then the username must be unique, like we just talked about. If someone else already has it, you won't be able to use it. So let's put that in here. So username must be unique. Unique means it's the only one. Okay, and then lastly, to make your username unique, you can sometimes add numbers, right? So a lot of people in their username, if it's been taken, the name that you want, maybe you can put in the last two digits of your birth year. So eric.jenkins80 at gmail.com or eric.jenkins1980 at gmail.com. But just be careful about that if it's going to be your professional email address. You may not always want people to know how old you are. Okay. Because if you put your birth year in your email address, and especially, right, because people are going to know. They see 1975, they know that that's a birth year. They probably are going to kind of do some math and quickly figure out how old you are. So if you don't want to share that, just don't put it into your email address. But you can put for like for instance, my personal Gmail is just eric.hunter4@gmail.com. And that's because I tried to sign up for eric.hunter, but it wasn't available because someone else had already chose that. So I had to add a number to get what I wanted to do. Okay. So let's go do a little exercise here. This is going to be fun. Share. Okay. Can you guys see this usernames up here? It says usernames, reference A.
Can you make the letters bigger?
I can. Can't get too much bigger. That's about as big as I can get right there. Yeah, I'll go 220. How about that? Okay. So, here's a couple usernames that I want to get your guys' opinions on. So over here on the left, we have professional usernames. These look okay, right? So let's say your name is My Vang. You can see that My Vang put my.vang 1983. So that is her username, right? Because it's the first part of your email. There's another one here that says Grand Street Pizza. If you own a business that's Grand Street Pizza, is that username okay? I think so. It's okay. It's okay to have that. You wouldn't want that to be your personal email if you didn't have a business called Grand Street Pizza. Let's look at some unprofessional usernames. How about Beer Drinker 125? Do you want to apply for a job and give them your email address, this Beer Drinker 125@gmail.com?
No.
That would
No.
be completely unprofessional, right? How about Party All Night 24@gmail.com? No, we don't want to share that, right? We want to present a professional appearance and a professional username. And so this is all part of, the evaluation process when employers are looking at your resume. And I've been on a couple hiring boards and I have seen people's resume get canceled because they did not have a professional email address. And it's so easy to get an email address. Okay. How about this one right here? 1353532. That's not professional. It doesn't say anything. It doesn't have your name in it, right? Remember, we always want to have your name as part of your username if possible, right? You don't want to just have some random thing like, blue clouds 24@gmail.com. That's not professional if you don't have a business name that you normally just want to use your name, and it helps people also just identify like how to spell your name if they've only heard it, right? So that's just a couple of examples that I just want to share real quick on good things to do and things that you want to kind of steer clear of. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. So next, I want to talk about making a strong password. So this is very critical to have a nice, strong password because there are, just so you guys know, there are code breaker software out there that will attempt to try to break into your account and your password. So if you have a simple password, you are, what's the word I'm looking for? You are exponentially more likely to have your account broken into if you only use numbers and letters. Okay. If you add those special characters in there, and you do some capital letters, some lowercase letters, you're going to be in really good shape and you're going to have a very, very secure. We've all done a password where it says, oh, that's not a strong password, right? Where you try to enter it and it won't even let you do it oftentimes because it'll say that's not a strong enough password. But it's very important to have a good, strong password because that's what's going to keep it secure. Okay. All right. So, what are a couple things and a couple characteristics of a strong password? So, a strong password, I've got 4 rules that I like to share when it comes to making a strong password. Let me just pull those up. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. So my rules for creating a strong password. So this is very critical to, again, just making sure that you're keeping your account secure. So rule number 1, use an uppercase letter. So notice here, by the way, so what did I say? Right here where I highlighted, what did I say? Rules for creating a strong password. But do you notice for the S's, I put $signs. And for the O in Word, I put a 0. And we know a 0 because it has that slash through it, right? So a O won't have that slash through it, okay? And then I did an exclamation at the end. So this is how we make our passwords strong, is we substitute special characters or a number to substitute and make it harder to decrypt, right? Because we can all look at this and see that it says password with an exclamation mark. But when you write your passwords in such a manner, it's going to make your stuff so much more secure. So here's your rules for making a strong password. Number 1, use an uppercase letter. Somewhere in your password, you need to have an uppercase letter, okay? Number 2, have a lowercase letter. Your passwords are case sensitive. What do I mean by case sensitive? Your passwords, when you type your password, the first letter is a capital. When you create the password, it's only going to work when you type it exactly the way that you did it. So if you start with a capital letter, you got to do that capital letter every time you log into your account. Otherwise, if you do a lowercase letter, it's not going to work. So case sensitive is the term that we use to say that uppercase and lowercase matter. If something is not case sensitive, okay, then that means that you could have typed it one time in all caps, and the next time you do it in all lowercase, and it doesn't matter. It's still going to work. Okay. Your email username. So again, if your email is eric.jenkins23@gmail.com, the username part, the eric.jenkins23, is actually not case sensitive. It is not. So your email username is not case sensitive. So I could write it in all lowercase or all caps. Doesn't matter. But your password is case sensitive. Okay. Number 3 rule for making a strong password, use a number. So somewhere in your password, you want to have a number. So you should have an uppercase letter, a lowercase letter, a number, and then lastly here, and I wrote this one like this on purpose, add a symbol or a special character. I know I didn't use the right letters, but when you read this, can't you guys read that says symbol or special character?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Because I substituted a $sign for the S. Here at the end, instead of a L, I put an exclamation mark. And then here, I put the @ sign instead of an A. But our brain knows that an A should be there. We see the A, but it's just a special character. So this is one of the tricks to building a very strong password. Okay. All right. Any questions about that? No? Okay. Perfect. So let's look at a couple of examples of some strong passwords here really quick. And then we'll do a little bit of practice also after this one. All right. Okay, so here we've got a couple of passwords, a couple of weak ones and a couple of strong ones. Let's look at the weak ones first. Home computer. So using the rules that we just talked about, uppercase, lowercase, a number, and a special character, what's wrong with this one? What are we missing?
It has no lowercase or numbers or special characters.
Exactly. Exactly. It's missing everything almost, right? It's just all caps, very easy for a machine to break this code here. Okay, there's nothing really strong about it. Same thing here. And we've all done it. We've all done it. And we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or ABCD as our password. Now, most online programs won't let you do this anymore, but of course, that's a very weak password because all of those numbers are in a row, right? They're in sequence. There's very logical, very easy again for someone to potentially break into. But let's look at these strong ones over here. Let's look at this one first. What does that say? Anybody? What does that first password that I highlighted say? Can anybody read that? What does it say?
Little chicken.
Little chicken at the barn.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. So even though they use special characters, this is one of the tricks that you can use when you're making your strong passwords is you can write real words, but using symbols sometimes in place of a word, or I'm sorry, in place of a letter or in place of a number. So what did they do here? Because we can just look at this and our brain fills it in and it knows it says little and then chicken at
Chicken.
the barn, right?
Okay.
So what they do? Instead of a I here, they put an exclamation mark. But doesn't that look a lot like an upside down I?
Yeah.
That's all an exclamation mark is. It's an upside down I, right? So they did little. So they substituted exclamation mark there. They did another exclamation mark here, this time in place of the I, right? So again, so you got two exclamation marks where you would normally have an I, but our brain again knows what's supposed to be there. And then they use this to actually mean at. So little chicken at the barn. I like this password. Does it check the 4 recommendations that we talked about? Number 1, does it have a capital letter?
The L, the first L.
The first L, is there a second capital letter?
Yes.
B.
Barn.
And a
B.
B, the barn. So you got 2 capital letters, check. How about lowercase letters? Do we have any lowercase letters?
A lot.
Got a bunch of those. How about a number? Do we have a number?
No.
No number. Okay. And do we have a special character?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, we
Yes.
do. Yes.
Right.
So we're good. So we have 3 out of the 4. You know, I would prefer if they added a number somewhere in there. You know, they could put a 8 at the beginning, right? You could start with the number 8 and say 8 little chicken at the barn or something like that. So you could have fun with it and just throw a number in there somewhere and it would just make it that much stronger. Let's look at the second one here. So what is this one? So we have, what does this one say?
Oh my, I am happy.
Look at you guys. Y'all are like little computer decoders. It's easy to read this, right? Like, yes, they use some special characters, but our brain knows what they're trying to say there. So again, going through this one, they have my, and then they have O, but that's not an O. In this case, that's actually a 0. So they substituted a 0 where our brain wants it to be an O. But again, that makes your password that much harder to break into. And so my, oh, my, and then I, but they did a 1 instead of a I. So 1 am happy, exclamation. So I like this one a lot. So let's go through our checklist again. Does it have a capital letter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Two
A couple of them. Does it have lowercase letters?
Yeah.
Yes. Does it have a number?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then how about a special character?
No.
What's that last thing on the end? My, oh my, I'm happy, and then what's after the Y?
Yeah.
Exclamation mark. Yeah, so you have a special character. Where do you find those special characters? If you look on your keyboard, next time you have a computer in front of you, or if you have one now, all of those numbers at the top, to access, there's also a special character on that same key. So if you look at a 1 on your keyboard, right above it, there's an exclamation mark. If you look at 2 on your keyboard, right above it is an @ sign. So to use those, you just have to hold down Shift and then press the button for that. So if you wanted an exclamation mark, for instance, you would hold down Shift and hit 1 and hit 1. You don't have to hold down Shift anymore. Just hold it down and then press 1 and you're going to get an exclamation mark. Okay. So let's do a little exercise here together, and we are going to make some strong passwords. I'm going to give you guys some information, and I want y'all to help me make a strong password out of it. So let's say that I live at 2234 South Main Street, Auburn, Washington. Okay. If you wanted to potentially use your address, because it's something that you would remember easily, what could you do with this using some of the things that we just learned or some of the rules, right? So here's the rules again. Where did they go? Oh, they went away. Oh, here they are. Nope. So what are some rules you could use to write your password using this information here? I'll do the first one. So I might do South 2234 Main Street. Okay. So let's look at what I did. So this is my address, and I'm like, oh, I'll remember my address wherever I go. I need to make a strong password, something I can remember. I'm going to use my address, but I'm going to encode it, right? So what did I do? I took the South from right there, and I put it up front, and I put an S or a $sign. So South 2234, and then I inverted it here. So normally we would write Main with a capital M, lowercase AIN, but I inverted it and I made the first letter lowercase and I made the remaining letters capital. Most bad actors aren't going to do that. They're going to always spell like this because this is normal. So one of the tricks I use is I will do it backwards. And then and then what does this stand for? $T is representing street. So if you read it again, you got South 2234 Main Street. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions about that? All right, let's do another one. Let's say your address is, let's see, 6801. I'm sorry, 6801 45th Street Avenue West, Kent, Washington. How could we, using some of the rules we talked about, how could we make a strong password using this? Any suggestions?
We can
Right.
put it 68.
68?
That one is O, the small O,
Let's go with a small O. Okay.
and then exclamation mark,
I like it.
45 as it is,
Mm-hmm.
and TH, T and capital H,
Okay, gotcha. So lowercase t, capital H. I like it.
street as S, capital and capital T.
I like it.
Uh,
Good.
avenue as it is,
Uh-huh.
and then W to be small letter,
Okay.
and then Japan Kent to be, is that the first one capital or you write small k, and then capital ENT.
There you go. I like it, John. Good job, John. That's good, right? Nobody's going to guess that. Okay. Even
Mm.
though it is your address, no one's going to guess that. That's a really good password right there. 680, but you did a O. You did a lowercase o instead of the 0. Exclamation mark here instead of the 1. So 6801 45th Street Avenue West, Kent. I like it. I like it a lot. Very good job. Another thing sometimes I've seen folks do in between the address and the city, you can put an @ sign right there. 6801 45th Street Avenue West at Kent. Right? So that you can play around with it. But bottom line is this is just really going to secure your password. So this is really good practice to get into of making really strong passwords. And then you're going to obviously need to remember them. So one place that you might want to write your passwords down, you don't always want to write all of the information down. So let's say in your phone, you probably have a notepad. So in your phone, if you just go type in note, there should be an app that comes up. It is very similar to what we're looking at here. It's just a place where you can write things. So let's say you had a note and you just wanted to save your password. So I might save this and then just say, I might say Gmail password. Okay. Now, some people are like, well, you put Gmail there. Now people know how to get into your account. Well, they don't know your username. And your phone is completely locked. So normally to get into your phone, doesn't someone need either your fingerprint or your face or some other kind of biometric to get into your phone? So I don't mind, and you'll be completely secure if you use a notepad in your phone to write down a few of your stronger passwords like this. Because again, no one can get into your phone, and all you're doing is putting Gmail password. They don't know the username that this is attached to. Okay. So I would be completely fine with that. That's what I do sometimes if I have a really strong password. Now, once you remember it, delete it. It might take you a few weeks to remember it, but once you remember this, it'll flow pretty quick. You'll find that your brain and your kind of muscle memory will remember that password. Okay. Any questions on making a strong password?
It's too long password, Eric.
It doesn't have to be that long. Okay. Now, yes, this one is long, but once you memorize it, it won't feel long because it's just your address, right?
My address?
Well, in this case, I used it as an example because oftentimes it's easier to remember a password if it means something to you, right? If it's just random numbers and letters, those are going to be harder to remember. So I like to use things that I will remember, but then I encode them with some of those special characters and numbers and things like that. So you just have to find what works for you. It may be that you use the name of a school you went to in elementary or middle school. Something that someone wouldn't naturally guess about you, you could use that, right? So that way it's nice and secure.
Okay.
Okay.
My address is too long.
Okay. And you don't have to use the whole thing either, right?
Mm,
If let's say you live at just 6401 Tribute, you might do Tribute underscore 6401 exclamation mark. Right? So you just reverse the order just to make it harder to detect, right? So you put the Tribute up first and then you underscore 6401 exclamation. That's still a pretty strong password. Okay? So it doesn't have to be real long and complicated, just as long as you're going to remember it. And we use those 4 rules. So what were the rules again? Rule number 1 for a strong password is uppercase letter. Rule number 2, lowercase letter. Rule number 3, anybody remember rule number 3?
Use a number.
use a
Special
number,
character, a number,
and then number 4,
special character.
special character. There you go. You guys got it. Y'all are all over it. All right. Let me just look at my notes and see where I am at. Okay. All right. So the next thing I want to talk about is when you do set up your email, oftentimes it will ask you for a recovery phone number. So that's normally the last step to making a new email account, is adding information like your name, maybe your address, a backup phone number. Sometimes it'll even ask for a recovery email. So it's asking, hey, if for one reason or another you lose access to this email, you don't forget the or you don't remember the password, what's the second email we can email you a code at to help you regain access? Okay, so when you give them your phone number, they will use that as a recovery phone number. So what is a recovery phone number? Let me demonstrate what it would look like. And you guys have likely seen this. So this is what it would look like, right? So you're finishing up your Google account or your Gmail account, and it says, hey, thanks for joining. Would you give us your phone number, your recovery email, your date of birth, and your gender? Okay, so let's start from the bottom up. Gender, that they're probably just using that for statistical purposes. It doesn't really do anything to your account or change anything, but your date of birth does matter. So your date of birth, if you put in that you're 10 years old, because your date of birth was 2000, and well, let's say not 2000, let's say it's 2015, right? You'd be 9 years old. Google's going to take that information and it's going to restrict certain things that your Google account can do. So that's really the only thing that matters with your date of birth, is just is Google going to restrict certain things based on your age? Again, we already talked about the recovery email address. The recovery email address is just a way for them to, if you lose access to your new account, they're going to email you a code at your recovery email address that's going to allow you to get back into your new one. And then lastly, up top, you have a phone number. And so we've all done this where you give Google or wherever you're signing up for this new account at, you give them your phone number. And it's really nice to secure your account, because when someone, let's say someone tried to log into your account from a new profile or from a new computer, it's going to flag that and say, we don't recognize this computer trying to log into your Gmail account. We're going to send you a text message at your phone number that you gave us, and then you're going to put that code in to verify that this is you logging in. So if someone tries to log into your account without your authorization, and if they don't have your phone, they're not going to be able to log in. So it really helps towards securing your account. In the tech world, we call it MFA, or multi-factor authentication, which means like, hey, someone has your username and your password combination. They think they're going to sign into your account, and they're outside the country. Let's say they're, in Russia, and they go to sign into your account. Google's going to flag that and say, oh, we don't recognize this computer being related to this account, and it's going to send you a text message. If you ever get a text message with a password like that, and you are not trying to get into your account, that means someone has your password, and you need to go immediately change it. But they won't be able to get in. So that's the good news. Okay. Any questions on this recovery password or recovery phone number? No. Okay, great.
Yes, I do have a recovery email.
Good. No, it is helpful. It's very helpful. Very, very helpful. Okay. All right. Let's go back and do some reviews. This is the part where we are going to have you all participate. So let's go here. All right. So y'all help me out. So we're going to look at some professional usernames, and I want you all to tell me if you think it is professional or not professional. And then I'd like you to tell me why you chose that answer. So first one here, assuming your name is John Smith, is this a professional email? John Smith 86. I'm sorry, a professional username, right? Because we know the username is the part before the @gmail.com, right? So is this a professional email? John Smith 86.
Yes.
I think so, right? It's simple. It has your name in it. It has a number in it. Very easy to remember, and it also represents you. It's not someone else's name. It's your name. How about this one here? Has a
No,
username for your email. What's wrong with
No.
that one?
Just numbers.
only letters, only numbers.
Exactly. Not going to be very helpful. How about the one below it? Rosa Gonzalez 82.
That's too little.
Yes.
It's so small, we can't read.
You guys can't read that?
You can
No,
enlarge it in your phone.
Yeah, if you're looking at your phone, this could be a little small. How about now?
yeah, now it's better.
Okay. Yep, Rosa Gonzalez 82. So that one's okay. How about this one here? Sarad Ali, Sarad.Ali 1973.
No,
Yes.
We okay with that one?
no,
Yes.
Why? I heard a no. Why not?
Because of the
good.
maybe 1973 is a bad year.
It doesn't have an uppercase.
Okay, so again, your username, and I'm glad that you guys brought that up. Your username is not case sensitive. Okay.
Um,
So only your password is case sensitive. The first part, the username of your email, is not case sensitive, right?
then it's
And
okay.
so this could be, if this is how you created your email address, Sarad Ali 1973 at Gmail, and then someone typed it all caps, you would still get that email. Okay. So again, the only thing that's case sensitive that we talked about today is passwords. So I think this email is okay, right? As long as Sarad is okay with everyone that he emails, knowing that his date of birth is 1973. I think when you're 25, that's okay, but when you're 50, you may not want to say, hey, my birth date is 1924, right? It might make people pause a little bit. So I personally would not put my birth date into my email address. All right. If you don't own a business called Chocolate King, would you want to put your resume out there and employer goes to email you and offer you a job and they realize, oh, his email address is chocolateking992. Is that a professional email address or username
Mm,
for an individual?
No,
no.
no,
Probably not. Yeah, I agree. Probably not. Yeah. Now, if you had a business and you sold chocolate, would this be okay?
yeah,
It would be. hmm Yep. Especially if your business is called Chocolate King. Okay.
yeah.
And maybe you're located at 992 Main Street, Chocolate King 992, right? Obviously, we know this one's not going to work. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll leave that one alone. Let's say this is again, you're setting up an email address to have a professional username. Is Flower Girl 101 good or bad? What do we think about this one?
Can use it for business.
I agree. You can use it for a business if you own a small business doing flowers and you're a girl. I think this one would be okay. But if you're trying to set up one that's and you don't have a business in flowers, I wouldn't recommend this one. We know this one's good, right? MyVang16. I like the use of the underscore. It's a nice way to show another person the difference between your first and last name, right? So you can do that. And then down here we have Rainbow 2001, Rainbows 2001. Again, unless you have a rainbow business, probably not recommended to be Rainbows 2001. Okay. All right. Let's now look at a couple of passwords, and then we'll wrap up for the day. So I want you guys to tell me if this is a strong password or a weak password. Number 1, my password, all lowercase.
Very weak.
Weak.
Why is it weak? Based on the rules we talked about, why is this one weak?
Uppercase, no uppercase,
No uppercase,
no character, no letter,
no uppercase, no number, no special character.
number, no, yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. How about this one here? Princess on a throne. What do we think about that one?
That's a strong one.
And what do
It's
we
a
like
good one.
about it? What do we like about it?
It has everything.
Mm-hmm. We've got a capital letter, right? That first P and a T. We've got lowercase letter. We've
Yeah.
got some special characters. We don't have a number, but I'm okay if you got 3 out of the 4. I'm okay with that. Okay. So princess on a throne. I especially like these that are real words, easy to remember for someone because they're real words, but you just substituted a couple of special characters where there might be normally a letter. Okay. How about this one? 99900. Good password? No.
Good.
No. Okay. How about chocolate? Whoever wrote these just keeps bringing up chocolate. Not a good password, right?
That's
What,
very good.
what's wrong with chocolate?
Anybody can type it.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. And like I was telling everyone earlier on, I work in the security industry, cybersecurity industry, and do fraud investigations and so forth. And one of the things I realized is there is software out there that attempts to break your password code. If it's only letters or it's only numbers, it is just exponentially easier to break that code, right? So much easier. So by adding and following the 4 rules we talked about, uppercase, lowercase, number, special character, you're going to be really secure, and it's going to be very hard to break that code. Of course, we know here you have just capital letters, so that's not going to be really strong. So we're going to avoid that one. What do you think about this one? The lions sleep. Hold on, let's see. The lion sleeps tonight. Do we like it?
That's a strong one. A strong one,
Yeah, the lion sleeps tonight. I like it. I like this one a lot.
yeah.
It's got a
Mhm.
capital letter.
Yeah.
Doesn't have
Yeah.
lowercase.
Mhm.
Got some numbers and special characters. Pretty good.
Yeah.
We know this one's not good, right? Just numbers. We know this one's not good. Lowercase. How about this last one?
No number, no digit, but it's good.
Yeah, it's
But it's
good.
good.
And it's easy
Good.
to remember, right? So notice the pattern here is they're using real words. They're just substituting and putting in, special characters where there might normally be a number or a letter. So this one is easy, roses and daisies, right? They just put a question mark at the end, and where there's normally S, they put a $sign. Again, a very secure password right there. Does anyone have any questions about anything we talked about today? So we talked about setting up a professional email address. We talked about recovery emails, and we talked about having your phone number attached to your email in case you need to, verify a sign-in. And the last thing we talked about was having a strong password. Any questions about anything we talked about? We've got a few minutes here before we need to wrap up. If nobody's got anything, I'll just share this really quick. So, as you all know, we do have our trainings on Tuesday and Saturday in person. Tuesday, we meet at 6 p.m. at Mission Africa in Federal Way. Of course, you all have the link here for Thursday nights because you guys are here on Zoom. So we're here every Thursday. And then on Saturdays, we meet at 11 a.m. Every week, just to review, most of you know this, but every week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I teach the same thing. So the following week, starting on Tuesday, I'll start a new topic. And so, of course, like I discussed earlier, next week, we will be, my wife will actually be sharing and teaching, and she's going to be teaching on email etiquette, when to reply all, when to forward, how to write, kind of the body of your email to make sure it's cordial and it's nice and it doesn't come across abrasive, especially in a professional environment. It can be seen as you're in a rush if you don't take the time to say, "Hi, how is everyone?" before you write the body of your email, right? So it's not texting, because in texting you don't always have to say, "Hi, how are you? What's going on?" Check, you can just kind of get straight to the point. But in professional emailing, it's always expected for you to have a greeting at the beginning of your email. And so my wife, Erica, will be teaching next week at Mission Africa and here on Zoom on email etiquette. So a couple different ways to connect with us. If you want to take a picture of this on your phone, that'd be a great thing to do so that you can save this information. But if you'd like to connect with us and get a one-on-one scheduled, if you have a need to do something on a computer and you need someone to sit down with you for an hour or so and really just sit with you and help you work through an issue, maybe it's applying for a job online, maybe it's updating your resume or getting on LinkedIn, maybe it's social media, whatever it might be, you can use these QR codes. And if you don't know how to use a QR code, don't worry about it. But if you do know how to use a QR code, and normally you would just, if you don't know, you just put your camera up to the QR code on your phone. You just open your camera app and kind of get close to the QR code. And then that would open up a link that would take you to a place where you can make a reservation. So you can make a 30-minute reservation, a 45-minute reservation, or a 1-hour reservation using these QR codes. Again, if you don't know how to use them, don't worry about it. Another thing you can do if you're ever at Mission Africa in person is you can book with us in person, and you can book with Ellie, who is our digital navigator when you come to our in-person classes. He's
Yes,
always
I'm
there.
here. I can hear that.
Oh, there he is. There's Ellie. So
Yeah.
you can book with him if you're at class on Tuesday or Saturday. You can just book it directly with him. And then the last option, and this might be the easiest one for you guys, is you can just call Mission Africa at this number, 253-344-1894, and they will help you book a one-on-one with Ellie. And he's great. He knows how to do everything that you will need to do and more. And so he's available for those. And those are mostly going to be scheduled on Tuesday from 2 to 6 p.m. or potentially on Thursday from 2 to 6 p.m. Okay. If you need someone to call you back, if you just have a need and you just need a call, you can leave a voicemail with us at 425-380-5489, and someone will call you back there. And if you missed a class, if you miss a week of class, you miss Zoom, you miss our in-person classes, feel free to reach out to us through our YouTube channel. So we have a YouTube channel. As you guys know, I'm recording today. So I'll stop the recording here shortly, and we will post this video to our YouTube channel. And this is where you can find us. It's just youtube.com/@MissionAfricaUS. And we have all of our previous classes recorded there, and we'll continue to record every Thursday and post those back to the Mission Africa YouTube site a couple times a week. Okay. Lastly, if you are new here today, you can expect I'll add you to our distribution list, and you'll start getting emails from us about upcoming classes. Any questions about anything we talked about today? All right.
Nope.
I'm gonna go on camera to say bye to you guys. Good to see everyone. Thank you guys for joining. I hope this helped, and we will see you next Thursday. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you, Eric.